And we begin with breaking news. The police sergeant accused of being a coward and failing to respond to the deadly shooting of a Detroit police officer is retiring. Sergeant Ronald Kidd's attorney speaking with reporters moments ago. It comes just hours after the suspect accused of killing Officer Rasheen McClain faced a judge for the first time since his arrest. Good afternoon. I'm Glenda Lewis.
And I'm Alan Campbell. Juwan Parks is now formally charged with first-degree murder. 7 Action News reporter Kimberly Craig is live downtown with all the breaking developments. Kim?
Yes, Alan and Glenda, Sergeant Ronald Kidd's attorney says his client is blaming any failure to help his fellow officers on an episode of PTSD. As for the murder suspect in the shooting death of Officer McClain, he made his first court appearance today via video.
Can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Juwan Parks sitting in front of a camera in prison in Jackson for his video arraignment in Detroit's 36th District Court. A defense attorney appointed to stand in for his arraignment.
Judge, I've tried this morning to call up to MDOC to talk to Mr. Parks, have not been successful in speaking with him.
The magistrate then read the long list of charges against Parks, including first-degree murder for the fatal shooting of Detroit police officer Rasheen McClain and the attempted murders of 3 other officers, including McClain's partner who was shot in the leg. The magistrate then advised Parks of his rights, including the right to remain silent.
You also have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one on your own, the court will appoint one for you at public expense. Do you understand these rights, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Juwan Parks has spent most of the last 8 years in prison serving time for assault. In March, he was moved here to the Michigan Department of Corrections Detroit Reentry Center on Ryan Road on the city's east side, where inmates are prepared to be reintegrated with society. While in prison, Parks was cited for misconduct nearly 36 times, with violations that include threatening behavior, forged documents, gambling, substance abuse, and words or actions of sexual misconduct. But we're told he stayed with the programs and was released on parole in July. And while detectives continue to work on evidence against him in the murder of Officer McClain, the investigation into Ronald Kidd continues. He's the police sergeant the chief accused of being a coward for failing to respond to officers even after hearing they were under fire.
While Sergeant Kidd mourns the loss of Officer McClain, nothing he could have done on that night could have prevented the tragedy that occurred. Unfortunately, Sergeant Kidd, on the night in question, suffered from an episode of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Now, Sergeant Ronald Kidd's problems don't go away with his sudden retirement. He could still face a criminal charge, possibly misdemeanor neglect of duty. That investigation is still ongoing by Detroit police. Reporting live in downtown Detroit, Kimberly Craig, 7 Action News, back to you.
All right, Kim, thank you.
And tonight, family and friends are saying goodbye to Officer Rasheen McClain. Visitation wraps up at Fisher Funeral Home in Redford Township at 8 o'clock. Officer McClain's funeral will be tomorrow at Greater Grace Temple in Detroit starting at 11 a.m. We will stream the services live on WXYZ.com.
To our big story.